I have been dreaming my entire life about the day when I could put on trades like this. If I start crying in the next few minutes, like, cause I might get emotional because, and call me crazy, but like, you don't understand. But welcome to our top 5 episode. Honestly, they're not just my favorite trades of the year, and I had a couple favorite trades in our 6 through 10 episodes, which if you haven't watched it, go watch it. But these are some of my favorite trades of my entire life, right here, that we're about to talk about. Honestly,
at number 5, racking up $1.6 million, our summertime investments in the great outdoors.
This is a trade that any person in the world could have identified slightly earlier than someone else, than Wall Street, than institutional traders, right? This is the ultimate social arb trade because as ordinary people that don't get dressed up in a suit and go work on Wall Street every day, ordinary people, we see this before professionals see it. If we can't kill it on a trade like this, then we should quit as social arb traders, because this is what social arb trading is all about. I mean, I love it that this trade worked out, because what on earth do you do in a pandemic when you haven't left your house in months and you can't travel?
Early on, I remember calling you because I had just left the bike shop that I shop at like once a month, and they had like literally their entire showroom was full of boxes of new bikes that they had nowhere to put. And they sold everything they had, and then they couldn't even order any more bikes from Giant. And I'm like, this is madness. I've never even heard of this. So I got to go call Chris and see if we can figure out a trade. And then I think you found Durrell out of that, right?
What do they own, Jordan? They own
what, Cannondale.
Schwinn? What?
Yeah, the biggest one they own is Cannondale.
And they own Schwinn, and Schwinn is pretty big too.
Yeah.
There was like a second, what I loved were these second layer stocks that weren't getting as much attention. Like I said, like the Sea-Doo, the Polaris, the Mastercraft. Also, guys, Avis. Remember when Hertz went down, brought Avis with it, but what was a big part of our summer outdoors trade? If you weren't able to rent an RV, because how many people are going to actually buy an RV? I mean, there's only so many RVs to buy and rent. Everyone else is renting a car because people don't understand, like in a lot of cities, people just don't have cars. And a lot of people don't have cars, but they needed a car this summer because they wanted to get home to their parents or they wanted to take a vacation. Read the number. This is unbelievable how much money we made off this one. It wasn't one, it was like a basket, right?
Off the basket of great outdoors trades, we cashed in $1.6 million. So coming in at number 4, we're getting into some serious money now. A whopping $2.8 million gain. I became a fanboy of this company this year. Of course, we're talking about our investment in electric vehicle, and not just Tesla. Of course, that's probably the majority of the gain. But for me, it's also shorting Nikola, the great short, and also the Chinese EV NIO.
This is a trade, no matter how much we talk, no matter how much I love it, and no matter how much money we made on it, I feel like we were barely scratching the surface. Because, when I ran my investment competition of, the greatest traders of 2020, I'm still going through the data. Almost every person that made insane returns this year, it was all EV. And you say Nikola, Dave? Do you remember? I went long Nikola.
I know.
Why do I go long Nikola? Because they were the greatest stock collab company of all time.
We love stock collabs.
And right when I went super long Nikola, they came out and announced, I was like, these guys are going to keep announcing stock collabs, and they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And sure enough, they announced the biggest stock collab of all time, the GM stock collab, right? And the stock shot through the roof. I made insane money on Nikola, insane. And then you know what I did? I immediately shorted it.
I think it's kind of remarkable that we are only up to number 4 on the list, and we are talking $2.8 million of gains. Like in a normal year, that's like the whole year on a very, very remarkably good year. That is number 4 on our list this year. Number 3 in 2020, our index trades.
Pandemic trade. what they really are, right? It was
the whole world was falling apart, and the stock market was falling through the floor, and we were shorting the SPY and buying. I had 3-time leveraged S&P puts or inverse options. I had 3 times leveraged on the upside. I was shorting SPY. I had SPY puts. I made $685,000 in SPY alone and more than $430,000 in leveraged S&P products.
Shorting that pandemic was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I didn't have my account was valued at about I had a $6 million trading account at the time, which is big, but that $6 million trading account was everything to me. I had been preparing for this moment for a decade. I knew that at some point in the future, there was going to be an event, a white swan, a black swan event that would cause the market to shudder. And I had been looking for that event every day for the past 10 years, waiting for it, preparing my mind for it, running scenarios. What could the event be? Could it be an earthquake in California? Could it be a geopolitical event? I'm looking at all of those. Could it be an asteroid hitting it? I mean, literally any event that it could possibly play out is an event that I had kind of played out in my mind. We call this preparing your mind with scenario modeling. And my first trade was January 27th. I shorted the SPY at $327. It looks like I also bought puts on the SPY. So that was my first trade. My first trades were bad. Okay, I think I lost money on a bunch of my first trades because I was too soon. You were a little
early. Yeah, you were in it before the world realized how bad it could get. You had already kind of prepared for this.
But here's the best part. Remember when the market started to drop like that much, 2%? There was a 2% drop in the market. And what did CNBC say? What did the Wall Street Journal say? What did all of the world's financial media say? They went nuts. Why they go nuts? They didn't go nuts saying, oh my gosh, this is the beginning of a spiral. They went nuts saying, you know what? Buy the dip.
Should Americans buy the dip now?
Yes. Like, amazing that we finally got a 2% dip in the market. Nobody saw it coming, guys. And you know how hard it is to go double, triple, quadruple down on the trade when the entire world is against you? The entire world is making you think that maybe you're insane? Like, was I just one of these like conspiracy nuts thinking that a pandemic was going to come take down the world when no one else saw it? Like, why am I seeing this and not a single other hedge fund manager, not a single other financial journalist, not a single other person in the world, not our own government? Nobody was treating this like the risk that it was. And do you know why? It's because it was an anomaly. COVID was right in front of our face. If you run that model 1,000,000 times over, I don't know how it doesn't come to the United States. I don't know how it doesn't come to Europe, right? Like, there's no way it doesn't. You can debate how bad it's going to be, but it's going to be bad, right?
Right.
So,
Chris, this is what you shared on Twitter. This was the stock chart that you didn't take a hit when the stock market completely fell apart. I tweeted my stock chart, which did drop from here down to here. That was when I was on vacation. This is what I tweeted is my $1 million vacation, because I didn't make a move until this thing had already dropped half. And then I did. And if I hadn't done that, my portfolio would basically have blown up if I had panicked and sold at the bottom. But instead, I started investing in, basically I bought puts on the SPY. I had options. I had puts on the SPY, and I was shorting the SPY, and I was able to, make my way back up to here. And this was back May 26th. That's what it took. I can't believe that's only our number 3 trade.
Dude, Dave,
$4.6 million is number 3 on the list.
Dave, when I made that trade, remember I told you I was like, dude, if this continues, my account will be 8 digits.
Our number 2 trade, the trades that I will forever associate with 2020, of course I'm talking the stay-at-home stocks. Chris, I know you were in Amazon, Apple, Shopify, HP, Logitech, Square, Roku, Netflix, Activision. I mean, there's just so many. I was in Amazon. I bought more Amazon. I bought calls. I had puts. I have Domino's and Zoom and Shopify. Aren't these...
Dave, I have one thing to say about this, and this is a great lesson. 2 days late. I had some of these stocks. I had some of them lightly, and I had one of them we'll talk about later in the show that I had to go all in on. But for the most part, I was 2 days late getting in on these stocks after we hit bottom. I was preparing the whole time the market was going down. What were we talking about on our show? We were preparing for that bottom. What were we going to buy as soon as we thought that the fear index kind of hit maximum level and that we had like basically a washout, right? I was so afraid to make that trade early, guys, that I was not willing to do it. I just wasn't willing to do it. I'm like, I'm not going to do this until I feel comfortable.
Because everything was falling apart.
I was freaking out. I had my finger on the trigger. I was going to buy 1,000 shares of Amazon at $1,700, and I didn't do it. And I don't know why. And I was going to buy some, and I saw Shopify in the 300s, and I'm like, I have to buy this right now. And I just couldn't talk myself into doing it. So I got same thing, Chris. I waited like a few days and then gave up a lot of the gains that I could have made. But you know, at least I still pulled the trigger. But yeah.
But
thing
Jordan,
is,
here's what's amazing. Even Dave, even being 2 days late, after the market hit that bottom, was 2 days late, I went all in on all the stay-at-home trades because the thesis, the social arb thesis was that when you have a noisy market, when you have all that noise, okay, people are making irrational decisions. None of those stocks should have ever went down. None of them. They should have been going up instead of down. And we knew it. We knew that stocks like Amazon, Apple, Shopify, HP, Logitech, Square, Roku, Netflix, those would only benefit from the pandemic, not be harmed. They would only benefit. So why were they down? There was no reason for them to be down.
No
so
reason.
The second that we thought the market was stabilized, we were so prepared to just slam in on those stocks. We were so mentally prepared to do it that we just did it. Now, we did it to different extents. Like Jordan might have done it to a smaller extent than me or whatever, but like, right, Dave?
Yeah. And even being 2 days late, we still, between us, are up $4.3 million. Can you imagine if we had been 2 days earlier?
But I would never have been 2 days earlier because like I didn't know to what extent the market was going to continue to spiral, and I didn't want to get caught up in that. So I was like, you know, I'm not going to be part of that decision-making process. When the market's ready to stabilize, I know these are the companies that I have to be in. I have to be in them huge. The same way right now I feel about the recovery stocks, the bounce back stocks for post-pandemic, right?
You're
like,
roaring 2020s.
Return to life stocks. Like I feel the same way about those. And that's what I've been preparing for that for 6 months.
Finally, the most profitable trade of 2020, more than $4.8 million of profits. Collectively, our number one most profitable trade of the year. It's a stay-at-home stock, it's a fitness stock, it's a brand loyalty stock. Of course, I'm talking about Peloton.
Oh, I was saying it might be more than that because it's up today.
Oh, it's up huge.
I was in briefly. I was out $40,000 out of this $4.8 million that you guys have made.
OMG.
I'm not
Dave,
bitter. I'm happy when you two make money. I love it.
Jordan, I think we're up a solid 5 in it right now. As of this moment, we're up 5 million.
Yeah, you probably are.
Dude, this goes back to when you've been in the market a long time, you know there are these generational stocks. We all talk about them, right? Generational stock. It was a generational opportunity to get in on something. This was a game changer for the entire world, right? So like that's something that I think about all the time. I'm constantly thinking about, is that a generational opportunity to invest in something, right? Who knows how this turns out over the next year or two, guys. Guys, just so you know, I pulled a date here. I actually got in my Peloton on January 14th at about $29 a share. I obviously added a lot more after that. I went in huge call options. I have never made a trade that big, guys. This was literally maybe the largest trade I had ever made. And I was up 7 figures that day on the trade. And it was a big, big deal for me. And I also said at the time, this company will sell every product they're capable of making for the rest of this year. I said, how do you not go all in when you know that they will sell everything they can make from now to the end of the year, and not have to advertise basically $1? How do you not buy this company? I think I've said this multiple times. Out of the $20 million of gains, I think I would attribute maybe $4 million of it to the Dumb Money community. And I hope that, what we bring to the table is as valuable for you guys, just in terms of helping to surface opportunities, as well as the way that we think and the way that we vet opportunities. I hope the give and take is kind of, equal and at parity between us and the community. That's why we're doing this, right? I'm better today because of our community. I hope our community is better because of us and because of each other. And that's what we want to do going into 2021.